Welcome to Deep Dive Film School. I'm Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Palcher.
And if you like what you see/hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us in all the spaces and places that people what?
Find good media. That's right. Our most popular platforms are Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So join us there if you like what you see. All right, let's get into our Scene 101 today. We're doing Sling Blade, your choice for this one.
Yes.
1999's Sling Blade, directed and written and starring.
6.
Oh, is it 96?
Yep.
I think you're right. I think I mistyped that. But written, directed, and starring Mr. Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, like when he really showed up on the scene. Like,
it was the first thing anyone really knew of him.
Yeah, like I remember like afterwards, like, oh, he has a small role in Tombstone or something, right? Like something really tiny like that.
It's just a tiny indie film, honestly. You know,
it is, but it's like it blew
powerful
up, man. Well, and I think it was interesting. There was some review I was reading about it that talked about, I think it was maybe Ebert. The plot hits all the points where you can see him coming from a mile away.
But you don't care?
But you don't care because the way that it's delivered is so unique.
Well, yeah.
And it's just a really unique voice. I think that
Sure.
Even though he hasn't really directed much else, like as just a writer and as like an actor, Billy Bob Thornton does have such a voice in his delivery, in the characters that he portrays.
Absolutely.
His sense of humor.
Surprised he didn't keep writing and directing. Maybe he did some TV stuff maybe or something, but this was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. So it is really
kind of interesting, but that got him to break in, you know, and obviously I think, did he get nominated for this? I didn't look that up.
He did. Sure. And also I think there was a lot of, I think it was Golden Globes or something else, did a lot of like best cast and this group, cast. You know, because, well, and I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do this scene in particular is because while what everybody continues to talk about, even all these years later, is and French fried potatoes and all that kind of stuff, and the relationship between his character and the kid. This scene always stuck with me for a couple of reasons. First of all, Billy Bob Thornton, you know, while he was still trying to break into Hollywood, had been playing in this like alt country like band, and had friends that were all these different musicians, right? And that was sort of like what his other thing that he was really passionate about. And he still is. He was the Box Masters, I think is the name of his group that he's been playing with for like 35 years or something.
Sure, yeah.
That this cadre, with the exception of John Ritter, which John Ritter and him were both really close friends.
Yes.
Also fantastic together in Bad Santa.
That's right.
But you know, he wrote this part specifically for John Ritter, and so we have John Ritter in this scene, but that everybody else, really, with the exception of the wife and the kid, are all musicians.
Yeah.
First and foremost, they're not actors, and I think it's so interesting to see that, and then be like, and it's the weirdest scene. This whole like Doyle's life, like outside of. This horrible
I'm interested why you chose this scene, just because it doesn't really have Billy Bob Thornton in it. I mean, he's in there and he's in character the whole time. He's like on beat with everything that's happening. So it's kind of genius in that way. But just curious why you wanted to do this scene.
I remember it stuck out to me so much as being, and I remember I even said it to you that in rewatching it again, as we were preparing, I was like, it weirdly reminds me kind of the drug deal scene from Boogie Nights, in that it starts off as such a funny kind of like shocking interlude at a part in the movie, and then ramps up the tension really high right after it. And it does this in this really like kind of whiplash way where you're like, you know, they're getting ready to go to bed when he's like, you know what I'm going to do? God damn it. I'm bringing the band back together. I'm bringing all the guys over here tonight. And you're like, what is he talking about? Because we don't even know any of these other characters
to the scene.
Yeah. And you know, he's already been ragging on, and I won't use the word that he uses, but it's the R word every time he talks about Carl.
Yeah.
And it's you're our friend and your homosexual friend.
And you're, cocksucker.
Yeah. And it's just, he's such a horrible character, but we haven't really seen him at an 11 yet.
You know it's coming, like Ebert said. I agree with that completely. He is a specific kind of redneck asshole.
Yeah.
And it feels like someone you've seen or know to some degree, right?
Yep.
And Dwight Yoakam is a famous musician.
Yep.
I recognize some of the other bandmates as even actors as well.
Yeah.
But no one is as famous as he is.
No, he's Dwight Yoakam. Yeah. Like it doesn't make sense that he should be this good of an actor.
At acting. Yeah.
And you're right.
Outstanding here.
You know this kind of a guy. And there's a little bit of a prelude. And I think that it helps set up the larger theme here, which is that obviously we have Carl. He's taken to this young kid. He wants to protect him. He definitely has violence in his life of murdering past. Somebody before. Yeah. And we're like, and here's this horrible relationship that's getting set up with Doyle. And you're just like, okay, this is, like you said, movie. Can see it from a mile away. But the other thing that helps along that threat is that early on, we hear him, we don't even see who he's talking to. We hear him screaming at a neighbor. Doyle does, where he's like, I'm best friends with the cops and we go bowling, and we even see he's driving drunk as shit and the cops pull up next to him. He's like, y'all want to race? And they're like, now Doyle, we shouldn't be doing that when we're in uniform. And you're like, oh yeah, this guy's basically untouchable.
Yeah, he's just that abusive stepdad, and he puts on this fake tough guy front.
Yep.
That I just hate in people when I see it. It's just like, you're not going to do anything. You're all talk.
Yep. And then you're like, then there are these streaks of like actual violence, which is where we get to this party. Because yes, all you got to do is bring us out ice when we need it. When you see we're getting low, Jesus, what's your problem, right? And so they go on another beer run. They're playing in the front yard. It's all this. They're a terrible fucking band.
Yeah.
And they're the most bizarre group of friends. And they're made up mainly of, you got Dwight Yoakam, you got Billy Bob, you got John Ritter. There's a couple of other that guys in here, one of which also starred in Bad Santa. So there's a couple of other like that guys. But then the two I want to talk about in particular, one is the actual R.I.P. Amazing singer-songwriter Vic Chestnut, who actually was confined to a wheelchair like that he was in a car accident younger in life, and but did become this prolific songwriter and made some truly amazing music. And then Bruce Hampton, otherwise known as Colonel Hampton, who was another like Nashville singer-songwriter, who plays the tambourine in the band. Even though it's amazing he plays the tambourine in the band, and he's in that weird like onesie, like white, like super tight outfit, because he was an incredible guitar player and songwriter in his own right. But this moment where they're getting their own spotlight, and it's so perfectly like hard cuts.
They're talking about their creative process.
And
this is where the scene begins.
This is where the scene begins. And the hard cut into it is when you're at a party way later than you want to be. And John Ritter's so good where he's like, I'm sorry, I don't think I understand what you're talking about. I don't understand your train of thought. Like, and he's trying to be so polite, but you're like, it is a group of guys just wasted to the gills. You have Terrence and Morris, and Morris is Bruce Hampton, and Terrence is Vic Chestnut's character, and he's like, well, we're the songwriting duo, and we wrote a song last night right outside the Mini Mart. Morris calls it Stuart Drives a Comfortable Car, and then like in country songs, in parentheses, it says there's usually someone in the trunk. And then I just came up with the tune by humming it. And you're like, where are we? Like the movie has had sort of one tone up to this point, and all of a sudden just Vic Chestnut dropping that beautiful moment. You're like, what? And there's kind of this weird like music in the background, and you're like, we're in a different movie for a minute here.
It is. It definitely pulls you out a little bit.
Holy shit!
This movie is about Carl and Frank.
Yeah,
and Frank we don't really see until the end, and then Carl, like I said, he's sitting there the whole time in character.
Doesn't say a single line.
Doesn't move.
And it is so
sits and listens.
And it's so it really is Vic Chestnut and Bruce Hampton scene until Dwight Yoakam takes back over. But this whole thing where Bruce Hampton reads his new composition, The Thrill, where he says, and you do a ... in it, like on paper, like a poet does, right? And you're like, what is that? And I
very fly on the wall kind of kind of conversation.
I had to write, like, get this quote by quote, because never mind the man who contemplates doing away with license plates. He stands alone, anyhow, baking the cookies of discontent by the heat of the laundromat vent. You're like, it's spellbinding in its stupidity, and it's so damn funny. And I think at the time I was like, I don't get what this is doing in here.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
But once you know years down the road who Billy Bob Thornton is and the way that Billy Bob Thornton's sense of humor works and the way that he delivers lines, it makes perfect fucking sense. We just didn't know who this guy was yet, right? Sure. And it keeps going for a minute or two, and it's very funny. And then Dwight Yoakam as Doyle loses his patience, right?
You could see it ready to boil.
Yeah, because he's like, oh well, you know, don't question these guys. They're writing geniuses. I hope you understand that, Carl. Right? And then he breaks the window with a beer bottle, and the tone immediately shifts and gets fucking scary. And like when he pushes Vic Chestnut in the wheelchair and rams him into the fucking door.
Yeah.
It is like, it suddenly gets like, oh Jesus, like it's fucking scary. I remember seeing this in the theater and being like, oh, like I feel like I'm with a real guy who's really going to beat up real people here, not actors.
Yeah,
like,
no, he throws him hard on that.
Yeah.
I almost wouldn't be surprised if he got hurt or something in that scene, but there's not a lot of cuts here. It's just kind of the camera sitting in the corner.
Fly on the wall is a perfect way to put it.
But yeah, it's like a fly on the wall kind of feeling. John Ritter's really interesting in this scene because he's there to protect Carl and mostly protect Linda and her son because they're very close. She knows him from work. He's a smart guy, but he's homosexual.
And he's closeted in this. I mean, he is, but he isn't. In this small town, I think it's always like, and there's always these threats of violence from Doyle towards him.
Yeah, just it's like subtle, but here he definitely threatens him harder. He, you know, Linda and Frank come out and he keeps saying, "Get out of my house! Get out of my house!" Right, and screaming this, and it's not your house. This is Linda's house.
Oh God! And he just Vaughn like boop, like the little worm. He just barely pops his head up. It's not your house. It's Linda's house. And then you can see him be like, what's going to happen?
She gets in it, and he gets into his fake tough guy shit again. Yep. And they go back and forth and threaten each other. He pushes her, or she pushes him first. He pushes back, and then Frank wails.
Yep.
Frank really goes to town, and I love it. It's probably the best part of the scene
because so crazy.
It's the comeuppance, right? Yep. Everyone loves the comeuppance of an asshole like this getting beat up by a little kid,
dude. And it's nuts too because he's like, well, and right before that, you know, you talk about how disgusting Doyle is, and he has this line where he's like, he says, "You know better than to talk to me like that when I'm hurting, Linda." And you're just like, when you're hurting, like, what do you hurt? Like, well, you invited all your stupid friends over.
Calls him out on his girlfriends. Go stay with one of them.
Yep.
You know, trying to think he's, you know, that's her slave or whatever.
Yep.
And, you know, just the horrible domestic abuse mindset.
And manipulative, just
it's awful. And you know, he threatens to kill her. John Ritter's like, I heard that. And so if anything happens or whatever, and so they get in a pushing fight. He calls the police, and Frank and them go at it. But it is a powerful scene. It is a very odd scene though, and it does switch so much from a silly, like, what the fuck,
and it's worth mentioning that everything you just talked about, that whole sequence that is so powerful of Frank throwing all of those bottles and all those cans, and Dwight Yoakam is on the ground, and I love that he's like, okay, fuck me, I will leave, right? That whole sequence that is so powerful and so beautifully acted by all those people. The writer, director, and star is just sitting in the foreground.
Yes, the whole
staring off into the middle distance.
Yep.
Like, it makes it into something new and even stranger.
It is.
Than everything else that we've seen.
Like him in the foreground. I definitely thought about that shot a lot after I watched this scene because it's just so odd. And it's odd that we picked a scene where he's not even doing his Oscar performance.
It's true, but it's also like, it's one of the most interesting scenes in the movie. Like, there's so much layered texture to it.
There's a lot going on there.
And like such incredible acting, and really like letting the rest, even though we do know as the main thing, it's like the movie could have lived or died by the supporting cast around, and we see all of them shine while he's just sitting there.
It's true. It's true. He is showing off all the people he hired there. Absolutely. And it's really interesting because we know what happens at the end.
Yep.
You know, how this scene probably changed a lot.
What do you do?
Showed his true colors.
What are you doing with that lawnmower blade, Carl? Well, I'm on fixing to kill you with it. Yeah, it is.
And he does.
And that he does. But really, like, Dwight Yoakam is could have had a whole other career.
Yeah,
just as an
actor.
actor.
Really fascinating to see him in here, and he's matching Billy Bob.
Oh yeah.
As far as level of character and yeah, just really interesting. And you know, they have the scene after this where it's just Linda and Frank cleaning up.
Yeah.
And you know, him basically like, are we going to be okay?
Yeah.
Is this going to be over at some point? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And she's like, again, this disgusting, fucked up domestic abuse mindset that even she has. She basically says, I want him to want to leave, then he won't be violent. And so maybe we just wait it out. It's got to be the right time is basically what she's saying, right?
Yeah.
Rather than we're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you know, changing the locks and screw this guy or whatever.
Well, and they say that like that moment, a moment that a woman in a domestic abusive relationship is going to leave, the minute that she's going to leave is when her life is in the greatest danger.
Sure.
Right? Because that's the moment where the guy's like, oh no, I've lost control. So you're right. She is capitulating, but it's also a capitulation that you're like, oh, you feel trapped for her, right?
Absolutely.
Where you're just like, what? You're like, how did you meet this horrible sack of shit?
Must be a small town.
I mean, it's a pretty small town. The fact that he gets released from the mental hospital and he's like, oh, and there's the shed I grew up in.
Don't tell me what to do, Linda.
You know better than to talk to me when I'm hurting like this, Pulcher. Anyway,
interesting scene and interesting choice. And this movie is excellent.
It's a fantastic film. I mean, we could talk about the entire thing. I just thought the Stewart drives a comfortable car is like such an out there moment to start a scene with.
It's odd, especially because we never really see these guys again.
No, this is it. Yeah.
So
you don't say the dots out loud. That's why they look so good on paper. Anyway.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Join us next week. Please like and subscribe. We're going to continue our Chamber Piece Festival. We're going to do The Lighthouse by David Eggers. Excited to talk about that one. So join us then. And we'll see you later.
Bye, you guys.